For today's video, I'm going to go over some of cartridge caliber selections and how I make mine, and some of the questions I have in regards to some of the recommendations by a lot of people out there, and also everybody's input in the comment line. Here we have a 6.5 Creedmoor, 308, 30-06, and 300 Win Mag, all shooting AccuBond long ranges, 142 grain, 168 grain, and 210 grain. I have harvested deer, elk, and antelope with all of these, and they are all perfectly adequate for all of them. When I'm selecting something, I first and foremost look at bullet design. What is that bullet going to do after impact? I see a lot of people out there showing charts like this, and well, with the average bullet you need 2,000 plus feet per second to make sure the bullet opens, and you want the 1,500 plus foot-pounds for hunting elk. That puts that little 308 at 600 yards. I would not recommend hunting elk with a 308 at that range, although the charts say it's good. There's more than just these numbers that need to be considered in these charts. And I'm also going to get into why some of what some people are recommending mean nothing to me. Things like your ballistic coefficients. The only reason I like a high ballistic coefficient bullet is maintained velocity and energy for that bullet's performance. Wind drift to a slight degree, but if it's really windy and I got to worry about that much dope, I can't make the adjustments for the wind gusts. For me personally, I'm not going to take the shot. I don't feel as it's ethical for me. So I'm not overly concerned about wind drift, and I'm not concerned about bullet drop. And here's why I'm not concerned about bullet drop. Let's just say you're over here shooting at this elk from over 1,000 yards out. That bullet comes flying through the air, nose pointed ever so slightly up, and they drop. As soon as they hit, gravity loses its effect, and it pushes through. They do not shoot like this. So, if I got my dope right, I don't care about the bullet drop. I care about what is that bullet doing after impact. Do I have enough velocity for the ratings on the bullet to make sure it opens up, and enough energy left to make sure it penetrates deep enough? If you're using the wrong bullet, some of your cup and core match grades, they explode at higher velocity and you get no penetration. Use a good monolithic or partitioned, and it's hard to move them too fast. They're gonna penetrate. Those are things that need to be taken into consideration. I don't see a lot of people talking about bullet design and what it does after impact. How it gets there is really irrelevant. Whether it's, let's just say you were shooting that 168 grain out of all three of these, it would be a really crappy bullet, especially for deer and antelope out of a 300 Win Mag, because it's moving so fast, you're just going to destroy stuff. Works great in the 30-06 and 308. Shooting these 210s, yeah, you can get some great energy shooting them out of a 308 or an 06, but you really limit your range. Not a good choice for them. Then you come over here to this 142 grain AccuBond long range in that little old Creedmoor. I've been more than impressed with this through the years using it, because although it's a little on the light side for elk, I haven't had to track one yet. They've all gone down within 20, 30 yards of where I shot them, if not down right where I shot them. Only issue I have had with one was the overfragmentation and underpenetration, because I was well within 100 yards, hit a rib perfect going in. That first half of that bullet is designed to really come apart, so it is better at longer ranges. And even though, yeah, that elk did hit the ground within 20 yards of where it was shot, I didn't give it time to die. I shot it again, because that's me. Elk, if they're moving, I'm still putting rounds in them. I don't want to give them a chance. But the ones I have shot with that, it has given me similar stopping power as that 300 Win Mag. It's just blown me away. But most of that is shot placement. So I'm going to highly recommend to people light recoil, more than enough energy to get the job done. You start looking at the sectional densities and the length of most of those. I mean, tell me, is that elk going to care which one it got hit by? That larger frontal surface does give a little bit better permanent wound cavity and touch more stopping power in certain situations, but that's perfectly adequate. Drive that same bullet out of a 6.5 PRC, and you'll get a little bit range and really be able to compete with that 300 Win Mag, but it's not necessary. And then when you're looking at different stuff and you're looking at charts, man, the 6.8 Western, ballistically, awesome. And then what is it, the 7mm Sami, if I'm pronouncing that right, not a bullet you see on the market. It's in the target shooting world. But if you want to talk about looks good on paper, efficient burn, great little cartridge, it's great. Not going to recommend it, because you're going to go have to buy a custom rifle. You're going to have to get into hand loading, because you're not going to be able to buy anything for it except the components. So I make my recommendations to people off of what is adequate. A well-placed shot, because you're not scared of your gun, with something with a lighter recoil, will always be better than Magnums. I have all but gotten away from using Magnums. They're great. They have their purpose. But there's states I hunt in where seasons overlap, and I'm hunting antelope, deer, and cow elk all at the same time, and I'm not going to carry 3 or 4 different rifles in my truck with me. All of these have proven to be excellent for me. 30-06. It has its reputation for a reason. Slightly inefficient, but does a great job. More than enough for elk. Has killed all huntable big game in North America, and the first cartridge to successfully complete the North American Grand Slam. Its reputation speaks for itself. Great option. I like the 308 a little bit better, and the reason is, same bullet, I got about 11% savings in my powder, and I'm losing 100 feet per second on average. That savings is worth it for me. It just brings my range in by 100, 150 yards. Well, better majority of my shots are well within 500, and we've already looked at the chart. That's a perfectly adequate, based off the numbers, elk gun out to 600 yards. So when you're out there looking at different options for what you're wanting, you first need to consider primary animal you're hunting. If you're out east and you're primarily hunting whitetail deer and think you may someday head out west and hunt elk, but don't know that you ever will, any one of these 3. But that 300 Win Mag is so unnecessary for deer hunting. You know, if you're going to hunt all of the above and really only want one gun, yeah, in this lineup, I'm probably going to recommend that 30-06 because of what is available in ammunition out there, and the variety is awesome. If you hand load, you have even more options. There are more options in the .30 caliber bullet than any other out there. Might just be because ballistically that .30 caliber is in that middle window of perfection. You know, you look at that 6.5 and everything that everybody says, and oh, that's so much better than the 308, the 7mm in between there. Everything that would make the 7mm better than the 308 makes the 6.5 better than the 7mm, the 6mm better than the 6.5, and then you're getting too long and too skinny. You can't. You start going up the other direction, too short and too fat. That .30 caliber is such a beautiful right in the middle hunting bullet. Lots of options. I highly recommend it, but I'm going to tell you, go to your local stores, see what they have for ammunition. Within that ammunition, what bullets are they loading in it? The bullet and what it does after impact is always more important than the case driving it, because you could load up that same bullet in all three of those. The case is different. What makes any one better? Like, it's so much of it's just personal opinion. Don't overthink it. Look at how a bullet performs after impact. Make your decisions based off of how that bullet performs after, because that's going to be what matters whether you wounded an animal or went home with the trophy of a lifetime. Less recoil, more accurate shot placement is better than bad shot placement, extra energy dump. But what it really boils down to, what do you want? Why do you want it? Get it and get proficient at it. I'll quote Randy Newberg here. What is the best elk cartridge? Probably the one you already have. And there's a guy that, if you ever look at his trophy room, better majority of his trophies were taken with that little bitty 308. So, my recommendation to you all is get something you want, get proficient at it. I like to change things up, so every few years I just switch to a different caliber for the heck of it. I've stuck the longest with the 6.5 Creedmoor just because I shoot a quality bullet. When I first got one, not even a couple years after they came out. And in fact, my one, there's 243 brass, it's never had 6.5 Creedmoor brass ran through it because nobody had hardly heard of the 6.5 Creedmoor when I started shooting it. I was shooting the 143 grain ELDX at one point. I do not like that bullet at all. It worked okay on antelope and deer, but holy wowzers, they need a bonded or something. Switched to these, my problems that I was having because of that smaller diameter went away. So don't shy away from something just because, oh, it's smaller diameter, oh, well, this person said. Really look at what's out there, what's available, and then look at people's success. That's why I mentioned Randy Newberg. Like, his success speaks for itself. The reputation of the 30-06, it speaks for itself. 300 Win Mag has been great. 6.5 Creedmoor, you know, it has a lot of haters, but most of its haters are people who have either never used it or they're using the wrong bullet for the job. Place that bullet where it needs to go with enough energy and a bullet that's designed proper to transfer that energy, and it doesn't really matter. Pick which one you want for the reasons you want and get proficient with it. Quality bullets matter first and foremost. Go from there. Pick what you want for whatever reason you want it. Shoot it and enjoy it. If you got anything you'd like to add, just throw it in the comments. Those are just some of my opinions on why I shoot what I shoot, and I will constantly be changing it up. Because if you're just looking at the ballistics on paper, well, why don't you just shoot everything with a 50 BMG? It doesn't work like that. There are calibers and cartridges out there that are good for hunting all big game in North America. I also strongly suggest having multiples, but if you're going to stick with one, make sure you're using a quality bullet. Make sure that with that quality bullet, that all your velocity, energy, and impact rates are where they need to be for the ranges you're hunting. Stick within that. Don't deviate. Respect the animal enough to not take unethical, iffy shots. Place your shot well, and you won't have a problem. Don't underestimate the power of that little old Creedmoor. But if you're just one of those that has to have a Magnum, man, that 300 Win Mag's one of my favorites. Shot up the 300 WSM for a while. Wasn't really a big fan. I felt like I was getting more out of my 300 Win Mags for less money. And efficiency matters too. You know, if cost is no option, yeah, go have a custom built rifle. You know, I'd love to have a rifle built. I want to see something hit the market to, basically I want to see the 300 Winchester short mag made more efficient and proper adjustments, the same way they took all the inefficiencies with the 270 Winchester short mag and came out with the 6.8 Western, which, man, the numbers on that, it's like not too high a muzzle velocity, so you're not unnecessarily destroying meat, causing wanted waste, yet still perfectly adequate for hunting elk at extended ranges. But I would like to see them come out with a 308 version of that to basically get this guy in a short action, tighten the twist rate so we can go from these 210 bullets and heavier. And I don't know what they'd call it, because if you look at the 308 and you switch it to millimeters, it'd be a 7.8 Western would be a great name for it. But for some reason they gave the metric designation to the 308 caliber bullets as 7.62, even though that's more based off the 311 bullet. So not sure how they do the metric conversions and designations.